Yo, what's good, family? Today we are going to continue in our series on church planter killers, specifically urban church planter killers, and those things that tend to wipe dudes out. You get a lot of those stories where we have to look back and reflect on. It's already hard enough to be a church planter. Now we have to wonder, what was it that took this brother out or this church out? As we look across all these different variables, I've reduced down to several big things that I've seen over the years. Of course, there's a million other things, but these are some of the top 10 of those things that have seemingly taken out a lot of dudes that had a heart to plant in an urban context, in a community, in a neighborhood, in a city, and it just didn't work out. A lot of it was beneath the surface stuff that could have been addressed. So today, on the Urban Church Planter podcast, we're going to be looking at this idea of betraying people's trust. Welcome back to the Urban Church Planter podcast. I'm your boy, Charlie Mitchell, and this podcast is, of course, hosted by the one and only Maroon House.
You're listening to the Urban Church Planters podcast, the realest podcast about church planting, made for church planters by real church planters.
So yeah, man, this happens from time to time where we got guys that are doing the work. They feel called, they have a burden to lead in a community. They feel called to plant or establish a new church in a community or a city. And it's probably a city that other peoples are seeking to avoid. That's not a fruitful place. That's not a place we want to go. But in the midst of all of the things that go on with that, there is a trait that can sneak up on guys, and that trait is betraying people's trust. And I don't think we slip into this one on purpose. I don't think we out here actually moving in a way that is trying to have people not trust us. We're pastors. We're called to this. We feel called to lead and to shepherd and to care. But it comes up from time to time. We have a proverb that outlines this very poignantly. Proverbs 25:19 says, like a broken tooth or a lame foot is reliance on the unfaithful in a time of trouble. Like a broken tooth or a lame foot. How many times have you stubbed your toe? You crack a tooth or something like that. That's what it feels like when you're putting your faith or your trust in somebody and they don't show up when it's time to. It's hard enough as it is out here in these streets, and I'm relying on you, and it makes it all the worse, right? Walking through the house at night, you're trying to get to where you're trying to go. It's already late. You want to get to bed. You want to get a little bit of rest. You've been working all day. You've been in that corner too fast. Maybe the kids left a couple boxes out, or your wife moved some furniture around while you were out of town. And then you come around that corner, you know, you're barefoot, you're trying to get settled, and you doggone stub that pinky toe. I don't know about you, but that's a special kind of pain. That's a special kind of pain. Listen, I don't care how small that pinky toe might be. You bend that toenail backwards the wrong way at the wrong time, it'll make a grown man cry. And it's the same for your teeth or anything that we have on our bodies that, man, hey, when I need you to show up, I need you to be here for me, right? And that's what it feels like to be with somebody, to tie yourself to somebody who is unfaithful in a time of trouble. And here's what we have to remember, and this is why it's very unique for us as urban church planters. It is already hard to gain people's trust. It's already very difficult. They don't trust us because they think we stealing money. They don't trust us because they think we're manipulative. They don't trust us because they've been brokenhearted by the church in past times, and we're going to deal with some of those issues that they've experienced before. So they already don't trust us because of these different things. And here we come along and we drop the ball after they've started to give us their trust. When a pastor breaks the confidence placed in them by other people, it will cause so much relational harm. There's a fallout effect. There's something that happens when we do that it triggers all these other things. And you might be saying, I just moved here. I don't know these people. You know, I forgot this meeting, or I forgot to communicate what I was actually thinking. I didn't show up when I said I would. There's a waterfall of effects that can take place when we drop the ball with people's trust. It'll undermine the integrity of a person's leadership, making it difficult for people in the community to trust us in the future. That's why the betrayal of trust is very significant for you if you're an urban church planter, because it could have a profound effect, especially if you're moving into a neighborhood. So for example, when we came to Baltimore and we did our thing and we're starting out, a lot of those early adopters of our church were people in Northeast Baltimore, in that particular neighborhood. They could essentially walk to our church. Well, a lot of those people were friends, family members, extended family members, had gone to church together before. So they have a tight-knit community. And if you don't live up to the words you've said in those early stages where we're giving you a chance, man, it triggers an effect because that community is tight-knit. And if you drop the ball with one, you drop the ball with all, and it undermines your leadership. They're not coming to you when you make a call and you ask them to invest or serve or care. You know what I mean? It makes it difficult for people in the community to trust you. Yeah, well, we rocked with them one time, but he ain't show up, or he said this, and then we found out it was that. This can ripple throughout the community, damaging relationships and making it difficult for things to get done. So sometimes we make it hard on ourselves trying to plant the church because you've not lived up to your commitments. Your yes wasn't yes and your no didn't mean no. You actually had other things going on. Maybe it was too busy. Maybe it was unorganized. Maybe you genuinely forgot. Or you thought everybody just understood what you meant. Well, there's that break in trust, and now you're feeling the weight, or as we say around here, the cool breeze, as people are standoffish, now taking a more passive role and just watching you do your thing because they don't know whether or not they can trust you. Here's the deal. It is important. It is of the highest level of importance that you be honest and trustworthy and always strive to keep your word. And if you break it, honestly admit, confess, repent, and move forward. So listen, you got to try to keep your word. Be a man of your word. In the streets especially, we already know this. There's a G code, right? There's codes that we live by. That's why no snitching is such a big and profound philosophy or ideology in the streets, because it's like, if we're in this together, we're in this together. And there are consequences for not living up to your word. In the scriptures, we call that integrity. Being a person of integrity, you're aligned with what it is that you say that you are. And when we step out of that, or when we drop the ball, we make a mistake, we got to own it. We got to own it, live up to it, confess, and seek to move forward. So if you break somebody's confidence, repairing that damage, it sets you back. So I don't care how dope you think your church is going to be. I don't care how excited you are. I don't care how much hype you've built up. I don't care how much you've distributed, how much money's been invested. If you're looking for credibility from the people in that community and you drop the ball with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, it's going to be very difficult for you. And a lot of times dudes have to transition from one community to another because they can't get traction. And it's not because that community is resistant, it's because they've betrayed people's trust. So I need you to go back to Scarface and Tony Montana. What did he say? All I got in this world is my word and my balls, and I don't break them for no one. And that's the kind of philosophy you got to have, especially in those early days when you're building influence, when you're building credibility, when you're building trust. You got to be a man, a woman, or team, or institution of your word. So here's what it could look like. Let me show you real quick what it could look like. If you're a planter and you break your confidence with your volunteers, they will doubt your leadership and become less productive. Are you struggling with volunteers? Are you struggling with people really buying into the vision? As you look back, is it their reluctance, or have you not fulfilled some commitments or things that you've said early on at the beginning? If you're a planter and you break your confidence with your co-leaders, your co-pastors, they will doubt your integrity and treat you like a boss rather than a co-laborer. And this can happen from time to time. Oh, I see he's just in it for him. We're not really a team. He's not really invested in us. He just wants what he can get out of us. That happens. And so you've got to look, what are the team dynamics? How are they treating me? Do they get quiet when I come around? Does all the laughing stop when I show up to the meeting? Right? Has the dynamics changed and there's a distance between us now? And when you ask, some of you have to go back and research and ask questions and go, hey man, what happened? I feel like there's things that have changed. And a lot of times we'll reduce it down. Man, you said this and you didn't do this. You said you would show up for me and you didn't show up. You only wanted this out of me and I felt like you really wasn't there for me. And this one hits close to home as well. If you're a spouse and you break your partner's confidence, they will start to question your fidelity and become less likely to trust you. You having late night meetings? You're doing things, just out of the norm. You're moving a little different. Now, on your sake, you might be saying, hey, man, I'm really busy. I've got these partners. I'm trying to meet with people. I'm trying to show that I'm really invested in the community, trying to build some partnerships, some relationships. That requires a little extra time, a little extra personal touch, but you're not communicating. You're not calling. You're not texting. You're all in on what you're doing. And now you're feeling that sense of reluctance when you get home. You've dropped the ball with their trust. You said you would be at the basketball game at a certain time. Instead, you took an extra meeting. What is happening here? I want you to be mindful because we don't have to be taken out by this. We can just be more honest. That's one of the things I write about in the book, From Nice to Known. Just be honest about what's happening inside of you rather than assuming everybody just trusts you because they don't. It's essential to be aware of the potential consequences of breaking the confidence placed in you. And that's why you have to be honest. Be honest. Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, here's what my plan is. This is my intent, and if you do drop the ball, confess, please forgive me. This is what happened. These were the things that I did, and I didn't mean to do that. I dropped the ball, and here are the things I'm going to do to change. I'm going to manage my calendar a little bit better. I'm going to communicate more frequently throughout the day, or here's the expectations, and I seek to be the one who leads out in these areas first and foremost. You cannot expect people to have the same level of trust in you that you don't have in them. And you not showing up, you not fulfilling your commitments, you not being dependable, man, they're going to have less and less trust in you. And that might be something that could be stifling you or impede you on your mission as you seek to plant a church. So yeah, let's make sure that we hold people's trust in high regard when they give us that level of investment in their life and in their time. Yo, my name is Charlie Mitchell, and I started the Maroon House to be a help and a service in a community for urban church planners. That's why we've got the Urban Church Planter podcast, where we want to provide you with some tools, some resources, and some community as we build this thing out together. You don't have to go through planting a church all by yourself. I don't care what tribe you in. I don't care what philosophy you have. Yo, just know you've got a safe place with us. We're some rebels with the actual cause. We believe that the urban community, the urban context, people of hip-hop culture, urban culture, they need leaders who are fully invested, that care, that are bought in, and that are building kingdom resources so that they can live a fulfilling life in Christ. So that's what the Maroon House is here to do. Yo, tap in with us, and I pray you have an incredible week. Peace.